We all know the thrill of finding that next amazing K-drama to binge, but sometimes they just don't live up to the hype. Today, we're diving into the disappointing K-dramas of 2025 that, according to many viewers, missed the mark. Starting of is Buried Hearts. Buried Hearts may have dominated headlines, but it's widely considered one of the worst K-dramas of 2025 due to its controversial ending and questionable choices. The story centers on Seo Dong-ju, a loyal secretary of one of the biggest conglomerates in Korea, as he hacks into a powerful political slush fund worth 2 trillion won as his last bid for survival with the goal of taking control over the company. However, though, Buried Hearts had everything on paper: secret births, betrayal, and chaebol corruption. But instead of weaving that chaos into something gripping, the show unravels into a directionless mess that forgot what it was trying to say halfway through. Even the political and corporate plot lines, which could have added some real depth, were a confusing stew of recycled tropes, incoherent motivations, and undeveloped side characters who felt like low-budget padding extras. Half of the cast was forgotten mid-plot, and the other half felt like ghosts wandering through an overwritten story. By the end, it wasn't just the hearts that were buried, it was logic, payoff, and any emotional investment the audience had left. Melo Movie is another prime example of a disappointing K-drama of this year. Despite having everything, top-tier cast, a dreamy soundtrack, and stunning visuals, it still wasted it. The show follows a film critic and a film director trying to live out their hopes and dreams while falling in love in the face of hardships. Their relationship was supposed to drive the story, but it doesn't. Their romance lacks spark, emotional depth, and genuine connection. Quite frankly, the male lead is one of the weakest link in this drama. Whether it was the writing or performance, his character is hollow. His actions often cross boundaries under the guise of romantic pursuit, and the show glosses over serious issues that should have been deal-breakers. The female lead, despite having a promising setup, ends up being a passive participant in her own love story. Their ending doesn't feel earned, it feels inevitable because the script said so. But let's talk about the original characters of this story. Hong Si-jun and Son Ju-ae, a former couple whose story was raw, restrained, and unforgettable. They weren't the focus, but every moment they shared had more weight than the main couple's entire arc. Their final kiss wasn't a reunion. It was a heartbreaking, quiet goodbye. No swelling music, no dramatic gestures, just two people acknowledging a love that couldn't survive reality. The final nail to the coffin was that the show didn't know what it's about. It had a chance to explore different forms of love, but instead of leaning into that complexity, it played it safe, centering a flat, unsatisfying love story that actively dragged the rest of the show down. Another drama that failed to impress this year was Newtopia. Despite its moderate viewership ratings, this drama ended up as one of the most disappointing shows of 2025. While it promised to be a zombie apocalypse romance drama, the show delivered a mess of failed comedy, weak storytelling, and flat characters, especially among fans eager for a fresh take on the undead apocalypse. What landed was something far more disappointing. Moments that should be tense or terrifying are undercut by bizarre jokes and nonsensical character choices. Instead of building a believable apocalypse, Newtopia relies on recycled tropes, flat exposition, and a pacing so slow it's hard to stay invested. While Jisoo's casting generated buzz, her performance is underwhelming. Her character Young-ju had potential as a regular girl navigating an extraordinary crisis, but she never quite finds her footing emotionally. The character development is almost non-existent, with most of the cast lacking backstories or depth, making it hard to feel anything for them. The military group is especially frustrating, portrayed as loud, incompetent, and painfully oblivious. The romantic subplots feel like an afterthought. The chemistry between the leads was barely there, possibly because they share so little screen time in the present. Flashbacks try to fill in the gaps, but fail to create a believable emotional bond. With so little depth or urgency, the romance just feels like filler. Bottom line, if you enjoy mindless zombie series with immature humor and don't mind shallow writing, Newtopia might entertain you. But for most viewers, it's a frustrating, forgettable misfire. At number 3 we have My Dearest Nemesis. My Dearest Nemesis had the kind of setup rom-com fans dream of. Two people who broke each other's hearts as teenagers reunite in adulthood, still scarred, still stubborn, but slowly learning to love and forgive again. On paper, it's gold. In execution, more like sugar without taste. Sweet, sure, but oddly empty. Early on, the drama plays that card well, keeping us entertained and watching, but it just doesn't know where to take you once it has your attention. The biggest flaw is that the show tries to throw everything at its lead couple. A painful teenage misunderstanding, hidden hobbies, professional power imbalances, class division, childhood trauma, you name it. Instead of digging deep into one or two of these, the drama skims them all, diluting the emotional impact. Both actors are capable, and individually, they're compelling. But together, the chemistry feels scripted rather than electric. There are cute moments, yes, but they feel more like checklist scenes than genuine connection. Chemistry isn't something you can fake or write into existence, and this pairing just doesn't have that romantic gravity. My Dearest Nemesis isn't bad, but frustrating to watch. As a fan of the romance genre, it does offer enough moments of charm and comfort to make it a worthwhile casual watch. But if you're looking for emotional depth, satisfying character arcs, or a swoon-worthy romance, this won't hit the mark. At number 2 is The Potato Lab. When The Potato Lab was first teased, it sounded so bizarre it just might work. A romance comedy set in a rural potato research center? Bringing on the laughs, slow-burn romance, and scientific chaos. Having an absurd, almost cartoonish rhythm to it that was oddly enjoyable. But instead of growing into something more emotionally resonant or narratively solid, the show spun its wheels and lost its direction completely. Minho and Baekho's relationship had potential, but their chemistry fizzles under clunky dialogue and manufactured drama. The emotional payoff just never hits. The second couple, Minho's brother and her best friend, felt especially forced. Great as individual comic relief, painful as a romantic pair. But instead of letting them do what they did best, the writers shoved them into unnecessary emotional subplots and awkward romance arcs. The show doesn't trust its strengths, so it leans on slapstick humor, last-minute conflicts, and endless misunderstandings. Even when the characters do talk, the communication feels shallow and unsatisfying. There are sweet moments, yes, plenty of cute glances and comfort scene, but there's no heat. The Potato Lab isn't terrible. It's fluffy, occasionally funny, and visually charming, but it never fully commits to its weirdness. Instead, it plays it safe and ends up disappointingly bland. Lastly, let's go back to a drama that aired at the beginning of this year. It's undeniable that When the Stars Gossip was one of 2025's most disappointing K-dramas. Although highly anticipated due to Minho and Gong Hyo-jin lead roles, the series hit trouble right away with fans questioning how the series even got approved for production. The show's premise follows an astronaut and an obstetrician-gynecologist as a space tourist with a secret, set on a space station with the theme of sci-fi, romance, and comedy. However, with a high budget of 50 billion won and an audience rating of 6.6 on My Drama List, this series failed to live up to its hype even with the amazing, star-studded cast and great soundtrack. Minho and Gong Hyo-jin gave a performance so flat, I questioned if they were probably deep-faked. Zero chemistry, poor writing with zero effort. It genuinely made me forget why I loved their previous work. The rest of the romantic subplots were filler with no exact purpose. The first half was painfully slow, and the second half tries to do too much in too little time, with the ending feeling rushed while lacking the intensity and excitement that fans had hoped for. It mishandles serious themes like infertility and motherhood. Villains face no consequences, and even top-tier actors deliver lifeless performances. Well, guys, that's all for now. If you're looking for good K-drama recommendations, you should check out this video. Remember though, these are based on opinions and reviews from the K-drama community, so your taste might be different, and that's totally okay. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more content.